So fishing with a method feeder has dominated the UK feeder scene for many, many years. Things have progressed a lot in recent years, and especially with the way baits, ground baits and pellets are moulded onto the feeder. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's a very, very simple process, and if you follow some of our tips today, you'll be able to get your bait working properly and catch you plenty more fish. Now, there's two trains of thought when you're method feeder fishing, and that's for ground bait or for pellets. Pellets are probably the most confusing because they need a little bit more preparation, and people are a lot more adept and a lot more used to preparing ground bait, so that's a lot easier for them to do. Pellets, however, are an absolutely brilliant bait to wrap around a method feeder and probably dominate the UK side these days. We've got three different types here from Bait Tech. We've got the Carp&Coarse 2 mils, we've got the Krill Pellets in 2 mil, and we've got the sticky method pellets, which are a micro pellet as well. Before I go any further, I just want to say that all of these pellets are brilliant in their own right, and the one thing to remember when you're method feeder fishing is there are no rules, so feel free to mix these as you wish to get different consistencies. Now, pellets on their own take a little bit of preparing. We'll do that down at the peg in a moment, but quickly let me show you the difference between these pellets. Now, your Carp&Coarse pellets, they are a very sort of standard fish meal pellet, very high quality, very, very good, but they're very fast breakdown. So what that means is once you've soaked them, once they're prepared for the feeder, once they're squeezed around the feeder, they will melt off the feeder very, very quickly. So in my opinion, I like to use these in shallower water, maybe up to 2 meters. The Krill Pellets, now this is a very, very high quality pellet. Some really top quality ingredients involved in this one, and what this gives you is quite a sticky pellet when soaked. What I tend to do with this is use this as a binding agent. So if I'm fishing in deeper water, I'll add a proportion of the Krill Pellets to the Carp&Coarse pellets to give me a stickier ball of micros that will take a little bit longer to break down. So ultimately, all we're thinking about when we're doing this is getting the breakdown time of the pellets right. Sticky method pellets, as the name suggests, are sticky. They take a little bit more preparing than these two in sense of soak time, but what these actually give you are a really, really sticky pellet that mould onto the method feeder really well, and you can fish happily in deep water with these, knowing safe that they are on the method feeder when that reaches the bottom. Again, looking at hook baits that you use with your method feeder fishing, it's really simplicity is the best way. Certainly for me these days, I base all my method feeder fishing around dumbbell hookers. They catch me so many fish. I just tend not to use anything else anymore. I don't feel I need to. But we'll talk about that a little bit at the peg, and we'll go and soak some pellets now and show you how to get these pellets absolutely perfect. Okay, so we're at the peg, and we're going to prepare our bait. First things first, you will see that I haven't spoken about any pellets other than 2 mil or what we call micro pellets, because these will make up all of your method fishing. You can introduce some 4 mils if you'd like to, but all of your basic method feeder fishing is done around micro pellets or 2 mil pellets, because these are the ones that soften up nicely and bind around a feeder perfectly. If you try and do it with bigger pellets, it can become hard work, so stick to micros and you won't go far wrong. Now, when you're soaking these pellets, there's a couple of rules that you need to follow. If you follow them, you won't go wrong, and that is simply look at the size of the pellet, soak the pellets for that amount of time. So what we're going to do, these Carp&Coarse pellets here, we're going to flood them in water, and by that I mean completely submerge them in water. They're 2 mil pellets. We're going to leave them for 2 minutes. We're going to completely drain them off, and we're going to put them aside for 20 minutes just to suck up all that water and get them ready for fishing. Exactly the same with the krill pellets. Again, 2 mil pellets, so we're going to soak them for 2 minutes. We're going to drain all the water off and we're going to put them aside for 20 minutes to rest. The only difference are the actual sticky method pellets. Now when we flood these with water, we cover them with water, we're going to leave that under the water for 20 minutes. Because they're such a dense pellet, and when they go soft they become really sticky, they need extra time to absorb all that water. So we're going to leave those underwater for 20 minutes, then we'll drain them off, and then we'll leave them another 20 minutes to get right. Today's fishing, I think we're going to be in about 2 meters of water, so I'm going to base most of my fishing around the krill and the Carp&Coarse pellets, because I think those two, and then maybe a mixture of the both, will be absolutely perfect for what we need. So, after soaking our pellets, this is the end result you get. You get a nice soft pellet that is damp, but more importantly, you can squeeze into a ball. Now you can I don't know whether you can see that, but it's slowly starting to break up. That's how quickly these pellets break up. Very quick, great for shallow water. As I said about the krill, a quick squeeze of those and straight away you can see how well they bind. So they're a stiffer bait, great in deeper water. And then we've got the sticky method pellets, which again are really good at binding and won't come off a feeder on the way down. For today, what I found best is to use the Carp&Coarse pellets. But what I'm actually doing is putting a small handful of the krill just to mix it in. Now what that actually does is just helps the delay on the breakdown. So that is getting put into my pellet feeder, that's going out, and as soon as that hits the bottom, that's then starting to melt and explode. The fish are coming in, starting to eat the pellets, they find your hook bait on the end, and bang, you've got a fish on. So as I've said, it's a really easy and simple thing to do. Follow those basic principles. 2 mil pellets, 2 mil soak time, drain them off, leave them to stand for 20 minutes to half an hour, and you'll have perfect pellets just like that, ideal for method feeder fishing and pellet feeder fishing.